For any of my queer homies out there, we all know, don't we? We all know how men are. Look, I've dealt with a lot of women who have been weird and overbearing, to be sure, but the weird and overbearing nature of women who have flirted with me or approached me or done anything that I didn't like, I have never thought, okay, let's leave aside the like threat of physical violence thing. Let's assume that everyone that I'm talking about is equally strong. I've never gotten a feeling of perceived or threatened physical violence or like stalking or anything like that from a woman. Now, women can stalk, don't get me wrong, and they can be violent. I'm more talking about like being hit on, more casual engagements, you know, being flirted with by, like a lady at a bar or something, or just like a casual thing like that. You know, again, I'm not saying women can't do bad stuff. There's something that men do, and I don't know if they know they do it, but men, I feel, often have a difficult time understanding the difference between affectionate staring and leering, and they have a difficult time understanding the difference between playful affection and projecting insecurity. Like, they will say something and it sounds like they're laughing, but in reality, they want a certain response from you, and they'd be hurt if you didn't offer it. And I know that a lot of women would feel very threatened by that because a lot of guys will just not take no for an answer. Yeah, they just won't. It's not something that I've experienced from women, really. And again, I'm only talking behavior-wise. I'm not talking like perceived threat of physical violence here, you know? I guess the main point is that I never really get the feeling that men expect something from the engagement with me. Sorry, I never get the feeling that women expect something from the engagement with me and will be pissy about it if it doesn't go their way. That's the simplest way of putting it, I think, if that makes any sense. If does that make any sense? Like, whether it's talking to a guy or girl, I feel like more often the guy gives me this vibe that like their ego is on the line based on the interaction that I'm having with them. And I feel like, by the way, like I have a decent range of experiences here because, you know, I've been to gay bars. I'm on Grindr all the time. You know, I've been to gay bars plenty. I've been to like the block parties. I have a range of experiences here to call upon. And even when the guys are being super chill and casual, and plenty of guys have been fine. Plenty of guys have been fine. There always does feel like, with some of them, something about their behavior, the way they talk or look at me, I mean, not their appearance. It just gives the impression that their ego is on the line here. I don't know. I just don't feel like women give me that impression that often. I could imagine that being quite scary if I was half as strong as I am now. And if there was like a very well normalized culture of predation against me, specifically. I'm just saying that people should be empathetic, you know? And I'm not saying women can't be bad or men can't be good. I'm just saying that there's definitely like a skewed dynamic here. Yeah, Cartes Portiev. And we're not even talking about like institutional protection of rapists. How like there are literally like factions in society who get away with it all the time and are protected by other people in power. Cops, anyone associated, anyone in that ballpark, fraternities, sports teams. There are like groups and like associations, and men will protect other men in a lot of cases because they won't believe that you raped someone else. They say, oh, you deserved it. Dude, you do not have to be around like guys, especially straight guys, that long before you hear them say some awful shit. You know that Trump grab him by the pussy thing, the like locker room talk? Why do you think it's called locker room talk? Also, follow up, do you think Trump was wrong when he called that locker room talk? Because he wasn't. That's, you hear shit like that all the time. You know, he called it that because that's what that sounds like. You know, that wasn't like an errant turn of phrase. It wasn't like a niche euphemism. There are tons of women out there whose initial sexual experience is negative. Yeah, and not negative in just like the like awkward way that a first sexual experience is probably going to be no matter what, but like negative. Would you say all this applies to gay men as well? To an extent, but not to the same extent. The dynamic is different. The culture of predation, the rape culture thing, is definitely something directed towards women broadly, but those tendencies persist in everyone, again, including women. So in lesbian relationships and in gay relationships, you'll have like echoes of those biases that manifest, you know, kind of like as a parallel or a reflection of the primary one. I haven't even talked about all the times fucking groping happens. Groping happens a lot in clubs to guys too, but the dynamic is usually different. Even if we're talking just about heterosexuals, because in some gay bars, man, they're all being handsy. Everyone's being handsy to everyone else all the time. So, you know, I'm not invoking that. But in like the heterosexual context, you know, like I I've had male friends joking about raping me to my face. Like, yeah, because a lot of guys think it's like a joke, or they're like, ha, she should be flattered because it means we think she's hot, you know. Just last week in my current board game group is a 22-year-old woman, and our group was talking about some D&D horror stories, and she told us how when she was 17 in the game, her DM had her character be sexually assaulted and raped just out of fucking nowhere. The DM was a 34-year-old at that time, by the way. I also know someone that happened to. I also know. Jail, actually. I genuinely wish that I had a perfect memory, because I feel like if I could, like, if I could, like, get out the papers, you know, and I could write down, like, every time one of my female friends has told me some shit like this, it would be like, it's been like a drip feed my entire life. Sometimes I just like I don't, it's not even like prompted or whatever. It's just like, oh yeah, remember that like teacher I told you about? Huh? Who? Oh, the one who like made a comment about my tits when I was 12. What? Oh yeah. Well, anyway, like, you know, he had like this dog that he would bring to class sometimes. Like, what? Okay, dog. Yeah, the dog. Yeah, like literally, like, right? Tell me, hypers, if you understand, right? Like, have you not like, as like talking to a chick or whatever, and just like, yeah, that, you know, like, yeah, like, it's kind of enraging. Yeah, and as a guy too, when you hear that, you want to go like, oh my god, that's horrible. But the chick is like, oh no, whatever, because it's happened so many times to her that it's like she can't get all up in arms about it when remembering any one of the 57 memories that she has. So for you, it's like, oh, this is injustice that must be corrected immediately. And for her, she's like, okay, you know, because it's just like set dressing to a broader. What's creepy is I got more sexual harassment as a kid or teenager, not so much as an adult, which I think is sick. Yeah, because now you can like call the police or defend yourself in some way. Basically, every female friend that I know said that the catcalling and sexual harassment against them started around 13 or 14, more or less. Like, I think that's just the norm. I think that's just like the default. Started at 7 for me, or it's 7 for Natrix. Is pedophilia that widespread among human beings? Men are taught that women are most valuable when they're young, unspoiled, and not able to defend themselves. I genuinely think this like pedo thing is unnatural. Like unnatural in the sense that it's socially manufactured as a product of these systems. There are female pedophiles who go after young boys, but I don't think it's as common by far. I don't want to make any strong claims about the data. A lot of the pedo shit that we see broadly in society, a lot of the behavior of men comes from the same types of social normalization that leads to the rape culture. I mean, obviously anything pedophile is rape culture, of course, but like there's a big overlap between those forces. All right, okay, we need to move on from this topic.